This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Regional Medical Center.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports more than 70,000 people have sickle cell disease, and more than 2 million people carry the gene that allows them to pass it on to their children. And for kids, sickle cell can mean pain, organ damage, even stroke. So in honor of this Sickle Cell Awareness Month, here's a test of your sickle cell smarts. For Manira, the only thing harder than living with sickle cell anemia was finding out her daughter had it too.
I feel bad. Well, sometimes my leg hurts, my belly, my back.
But just how much do you really know about the disease? First up, when both parents have the trait, what are the chances they'll have a baby with the sickle cell disease? The answer? There's a 25% chance. However, if one parent has sickle cell anemia and the other just has the trait, there is a 50% chance of having a baby with the disease. Next, is there more than one kind of sickle cell disease? Yes, there are several kinds, but these three are the most common. Can people who only have the trait have complications of the disease? Yes, people with the trait can experience symptoms during extreme conditions of high altitude, low oxygen, or increased pressure.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Another interesting fact, a child can get the disease even if both their parents don't have the sickle cell gene. In some cases, only one parent passes on the sickle cell gene and the other passes on a gene for another type of anemia that combines to produce sickle cell disease. Well, as we saw there, sickle cell disease affects millions of people throughout the world. But what is it and can it be cured? Here to answer those questions and give us a little more insight on it is Dr. Walid Elias of PRMC's Oncology and Hematology Department. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, what exactly is sickle cell anemia?
Sickle cell anemia, actually, it's the most common form of sickle cell disease, which affects the red blood cells, specifically the protein called hemoglobin, due to a certain mutation. And hence, since usually we have a normal red blood cell, which is a nice biconcave shaped, which is very elastic and goes through our capillaries. Unfortunately, in sickle cell disease, the denatured hemoglobin usually leads to the sickle cell shape of the red blood cells, and these red blood cells become very sticky, and then the effect is the end organ damage that usually we see in these.
So the actual blood cells themselves are different shapes?
Definitely, yes. Okay. And this is because of this denatured hemoglobin.
All right. Who's at most at risk for the disease?
Well, sickle cell disease affects mainly patients who have their ancestors from sub-Saharan Africa. So mainly we're talking about African American and also Hispanics, mainly Central America, South America. The other part of the world also, we see it a lot in Saudi Arabia, in India, and in people in the Mediterranean seas like Italy, Greece, and Turkey.
So these numbers here, 1 out of 500 African American births have sickle cell disease, but the last one there is interesting. 1 out of 12 African Americans with sickle cell traits, meaning those genes.
They have actually, yes, because we know like they should have the two genes affected to have the disease. So when we have only one gene inherited from either the mother or the father, they will have the trait and not the disease itself. So they have a milder form of anemia, okay, and this might not lead to like treatment.
All right, let's talk about complications real quick. There's several of them.
Well, because we're dealing here with a disease that affects the red blood cells, and as we all know, red blood cells, they go to most of our organs, and most of these organs, they have the small capillaries that the red blood cells, go through. So yes, we have multiple organ damage. Like we start with the brain, like patients might have strokes from sickle cell disease. Lungs might be damaged. On the long run, they might have like increased pressure in the lungs. Like the kidneys as well, the liver and the spleen, those blood cells get sequestered in these organs, and then we have complications from that.
Well, good information, and of course we'll have more information online. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Elias, today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right, still to come on Delmarva Life, what you can expect as Hurricane Sandy continues to slam Delmarva. Power outages are a major concern with the storm, what you need to know in case your lights go dark. And later, the really chilly air is almost here. Is there a way to keep the cold air out and the warm air in? You asked for it, you got it. We take the extreme door guard draft guard and put it to the test. Plus another chance for you to win tickets to see Sammy Kershaw next month. We'll be right back.